Okay, welcome back, parents, to Programming Your Child for Success. And I think this will be our last video. We'll see how it goes. I just don't like to make the videos too long because I know you're a busy parent. So we're trying to keep these in small bite-sized pieces for you. So in this lesson, I just want to talk about a few final thoughts before we close up this course. So let's talk about, we've been talking about what you say to your child. But we all know the famous saying that says actions speak louder than words. So how you respond to your child's needs and his wants and things like that is just as important as what you say. So I can't tell you that I love you and then treat you like dirt, right? so so we need to respond to their needs and listen to their desires with empathy, as well as what we say to a child, because we're communicating to them how we view them, how we value them. And if you don't respond to your child, then he gets the message, I'm not important. And so then, or I've seen parents who they're not focusing on their children, not really, it's almost like they're not prioritizing their children. They're more interested in their own endeavors and those sort of things, and they wonder why their kids act out. Well, a lot of times kids are just trying to get your attention. They need more attention. So if your child's not getting enough attention, he's not getting the time with you, the physical touch. Now, it doesn't take a lot of time to raise a healthy child. I'll tell you that. If you're a working parent, you still have plenty of time to communicate to your child his identity and his value and worth. So don't feel like, oh, I work all the time and my job's demanding and so I don't have. No, because when you're apart from your child, he's not expecting your attention. It's when you're together. So just make sure that the times that you're home with your child and that you have the opportunity, that he is getting the attention and the interaction with you that he needs. Okay. So just remember that everything that you say to him or about him is shaping his identity, and everything he experiences in those early years as well. So how you respond to his needs and how you interact with him, all that comes together to create his self-image or his identity, how he views himself. So it's just, in a nutshell, everything you say and do with your child and that he experiences is going to create that programming that's going to create his identity of who he is. So now, we've talked about everything you are pouring into your child, but the reality is children are not robots. You can't just program them like a robot and ignore the fact that he has needs from you as well. In other words, he's communicating to you as well. So if a child's emotional and physical needs are not met first, you cannot expect him to be in a place of hearing you and receiving from you. So always make sure that when you are speaking to your child and you're trying to, write on his heart, that he's not tired, that he's not hungry, that he's not upset or distracted or busy, because again, they're people, and we have to realize and address their human and emotional and all of those physical and emotional needs, so that they can be in a place to receive. Think about it, if you just got a phone call and it was a very disturbing phone call, disturbing news, and then your husband is trying to tell you, or your wife, something about how they need you to do this and that and the other, and you're just like, you can't even hear it, right? Because you're distracted. Or if you're I don't know about you, but if I'm hungry, I need to eat. Talk to me after I eat. Just if you're tired and your spouse wants to talk to you about, what something you guys got to do tomorrow or plan or whatever, or some situation, it's just like, let me get rested and then we'll talk about it, right? So kids are even more so. They're less able to moderate those physical and emotional needs. So make sure that you address those first, and then your programming will be much more well received and it'll be much more effective. Okay? And it's just the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated, right? And that includes our children. I don't know why we exempt our children from that, but to me, that's a basic parenting rule. Treat your child the way you want to be treated. So if you want them to respect you, show respect to them, right? If you want them to be patient, then you be patient. Show patience, right? I mean, there's that traditional poem that says children learn what they live. And so everything you do, if you're patient with them, they're going to learn patience. So your actions are also programming them and teaching them, life skills and creating that foundation for their life. So if you want your desires and standards to be honored, then honor his desires and his requests. So if you think about it, not banging on the table, again, it's not immoral behavior. It's just something you desire. You desire a peaceful meal, right? And so you're really just most of the time asking your child to do things that you desire. And so if you want your desires honored, then honor his desires. Now, honoring his desires does not mean you have to give him everything he wants. And I address that concept in another course that I have, and it's called Heart to Heart Parenting, because right now we're learning to program their heart, but you also have to learn to listen to what's coming out of their heart. So right now we're learning to pour into their heart, but it's a two-way street. So that's another course that, along with this one, is a really good comprehensive understanding of a child's heart. So it's a two-way street. The most effective parenting style that's been identified by psychologists, they have 4 distinct parenting styles that most people fall into one of those categories. It's the one called authoritarian parenting, where the parent is in control without being controlling. It's a two-way street where you're more like a coach and a mentor to your child, so you're listening and also giving feedback, and listening and giving feedback. And so it's a process of give and take. So it's basically, when you're talking about young children, listening to their crazy wild ideas, because to them they're not crazy and wild, and just listening and going, oh, that's interesting, but without shutting them down and saying, oh, that's foolish, or we can't do that, or what made you think that's, just understanding their level of maturity and allowing them to express at that level. And so what you're doing is you're communicating his value. Because remember, even though you are the authority and you're responsible for your child, in God's eyes, you have equal value and worth. You have the more responsibility and the bigger job, but as far as value goes, he's equal value. His personhood is just as valuable to God as yours. And so communicating to that to your child is huge for laying a solid foundation in his life, because when he knows he has value, then he's going to naturally reject things that devalue him, which include all the behaviors we don't want our kids to get into, like drug use and promiscuity. All those things are kids looking for value and affirmation that they didn't get at home. And that reminds me of another course I have called The One Thing. And that is really creating that sense of value in your child that just insulates them against all the awful things of the world, but also gives them that, I call it the rocket fuel, and just makes them just unstoppable, and they'll do amazing things in their life. So that course is called The One Thing, if you're interested in learning how to build your child's sense of worth and value. It's to me, it's the most important thing. So you reap what you sow. It goes back to the seeds, that if you don't like the fruit in your child's life, then sow different seeds. So if you're sowing respect, you're gonna reap respect. If you're sowing patience and being considerate, then you're gonna reap that as well. I learned this concept in my very first parenting class. I got married right out of high school, had my first child within a year. And when she was about a year and a half old, she began running my life. Well, I was still a child myself, and I didn't know the first thing about parenting, but I stumbled across an ad for a parenting class, and I thought, wow, you can learn how to be a parent. So I signed up for the class, And I came home that very first day with tools that got me the results I wanted. And I was astonished that you could actually learn how to be an effective parent. Like I said, I was a very young parent. And this is back before the internet. You know, now we have information overload and you can Google anything and find all sorts of information. But back then we didn't have that. So the ad I saw was in a newspaper. So anyway, I realized from that first parenting class 2 things. Number 1, I was creating the results I was getting. And also that it wasn't my daughter that needed training. You know, we think our kids, yes, they do need training, and I'm teaching you how to train your child, but we're the ones that are missing something. And once we learn how to, you know, do our job, they respond very easily. So if you don't like the fruit, then sow different seeds. So just remember that you are shaping your child's entire worldview and the foundation for his entire life. You're creating that blueprint for his life. And here's an interesting statistic or fact that from the world of psychology is that every relationship that we have in life, we model it after the relationship we had with our parents. So how you're interacting with your child is hugely important. And we could talk about that for another whole series, right? So speak and act like your child has value and worth, and he will respond. And the more he responds, the more that you will believe it. And so it's like that seed fruit cycle, and it gains momentum. And just get ready, because they're gonna take off. You will just see your kids really become so much more than you ever imagined they could be. I watched my own children and really didn't even realize what I was doing at the time until the Lord began quantifying all this for me and in the last few years. And but it's amazing how your kids can go far beyond anything you ever imagined. They can go far beyond anything you ever accomplished in life, and they should. You know, we say our children stand on our shoulders, but sadly, you see nowadays that kids floundering. They're not even living at the level their parents are living at. But when you implement what I'm teaching you in this series, you will see your kids go far beyond anything you ever accomplished, anything you ever imagined they could accomplish. Because the reality is, every human comes into this world, we have unlimited potential. And if we just take the lid off our kids and just start speaking life into them and telling them that they can do, that they're amazing, that they can do anything, that they are created in God's image, that they have, you know, the power of God in them, that they can do anything because Christ lives in them. And you know, we say that, we quote that verse, but we don't really believe we can do all things. But Jesus said, "You will do everything I did and more." Well, if we're going to do what he did, we have to be like he was. So start telling your child that they are like God, because they are created in God's image. And that's their true identity. And that's what we need to start speaking into and programming into their heart so they can live from that. It's miraculous. It's life-giving. It's incredible. And you won't believe your eyes as you watch your kids take off like a rocket. And so lastly, I'll just say, don't leave your child without someone in the driver's seat, because remember, we talked about they come into this world and there's nothing going on in here. There's no software yet. So get in the driver's seat, program them so they'll be on autopilot to be everything that God made them to be, and then just stand back and watch, because you're going to be amazed and astonished. So I hope that now does end our series on programming your child for success. I hope it's been a blessing to you. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak into your life. It's been my pleasure and honor to do so. So I hope you join me in some more of my courses. And until then, take care and God bless.